feel like you're capable of far more than what society expects of you? I know I do. Remember being a teenager and school being less about a passion to learn and more about getting good grades? How many times did you sit in class, bored and desperate to just get away? Every teen's felt that. Albert Einstein acted on it. Aged just 15, he's sitting in class when all of a sudden he decides enough is enough, gets up and walks right out the door. He never goes back. The invention of MRI scans only in the past 25 years has allowed scientists to see which parts of the brain are used by different kinds of thinking. We now know infinitely more than we did about how we learn and what makes up human intelligence. And it's extraordinary. We've evolved to learn by looking at things from different perspectives and making connections between things. And we do that through play. So wouldn't it be amazing if we bore all this in mind when raising kids? Letting them play when they're little and when they're older too? Charles Darwin's teacher said he'd never amount to much because he spent too much time playing with insects. So let children play, because it's never just play.
Everybody has a capacity for imagination. Imagination is simply the ability to conceive of what is not. Now, many people have blocked that capacity. Many people have fallen out of use and practice of that capacity, but we all have it. We're all born with it, and with cultivation, we can all develop it and grow it. And so, the differences between people you think of as imaginative and people you think of as not is not the difference between some who got sprinkled with fairy dust and some who didn't, right? It's just a matter of who cultivated it and who's had it cultivated for them by their teachers, their mentors, their peers, their surroundings. It starts with imagination first, just literally this capacity to conceive of what is not. Imagination applied is creativity, right? Taking that willingness or that kind of spark and doing something with it, whether it's drawing a picture or making something or launching a blog or whatever it may be, that's creativity. That subset of creative acts that somehow advance the form of art, advance the form of blogging, whatever it is, that's innovation. Right? And I think one of the challenges we have in our society right now is that we as Americans are always on the hunt for innovation now. And we want instant innovation. And wishing for instant innovation is like wishing for the fruit to appear without the seed. And I think it's really important that we, as a society and a culture, take time to cultivate, plant, water that seed.
It says here that when you draw the X. 5. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm taking a course in visual thinking. It teaches you how to visualize your thoughts. Watch. Cue. See that? Man, you're just a beginner. I'm an old hand at this stuff. Watch. Hey, a real watch. With moving parts, no less. Gee, have you taken this course already? No, man, I'm a natural. Been doing it for years. What for? Well, I used to use it with my piano lessons to help me remember the music. I found I could picture the music just by going da 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 da. Oh? Then I studied chords and I learned to remember them. Bong, bong, bong.
Creativity is something that occurs, that sparks from playfulness. That when we are playful, when we are playing, when we are making, when we are sharing, when we are reflecting, then we come up with new ideas. And the playful state of mind offers a platform where we can test out things.
How do I think about something, look at something, consider something from multiple points of view, from a new perspective?
The first thing is to dare to be creative. After that, then you have the capacities that you can have, whatever, it depends on your situation, but daring to be...
You have to be willing.
You have to be willing to
yeah.
first to will and to dare, because there is the possibility of succeeding or not, no? So daring or not depends much more in your mood, what you know, or your knowledge, your whatever. No, I think it's quite evident.
And no, a lot of it has to do with the types of questions that we ask kids to think about, right? If we ask them to just solve a problem that has one answer, how can you be creative about that? But by giving kids opportunities to look at art and do activities that require them to come up with multiple responses.
To give them the possibility of being creative. Yeah.
Art is connected to what we experience every day, but it represents some kind of transformation of the everyday, something that is not actually entirely real. It can't be found by locating it. It requires human intervention. It is the fingerprint, if you will, of our existence in the world.
I'm the art teacher. I'm going to teach you art. Draw one, like curved one, like this. Finally. A rainbow. I don't know how to draw rainbows. You do one like this. First draw it like this. You, then another one, and then another one. It's easy. Wait, that's a rainbow. See, that's a rainbow. And then you need lots of colors in the rainbow, so it's pretty.
Right, dimostrazione, it means demonstrate, show me, test it out, learn from experience, learn from your mistakes.
Mistakes are very important here. We're taught mistakes are bad.
And that shuts down the learning process.
Through the process of art making, you have to stay open. You have to participate in what you're making, and you're not as scared. You go through the work of working in an art form, and your fear really diminishes.
I think the key thing they can take away from it is that they can make mistakes, and that they can do something that's not perfect, and that it's all right.
I mean, that's a skill I hear people in the business world tell me all the time they want in their employees. They don't want them taking risks all over the place, but they do want them taking appropriate risks because that's what moves them forward.
It's the most significant aspect of creative thinking, which is willingness to embrace the unknown. Most ordinary folks need certainty. They want yes or no, black or white. The genius, the creative person, understands that you've got to immerse yourself in gray and a whole spectrum of different colors.
How would you like to sit around all day long and drink an espresso coffee with your friends, and talking about stuff they know absolutely nothing about. If the answer is yes, we would like to do that, perhaps you should become an artist. You get to wear old clothes all the time, and if you don't want to talk to somebody, you just say to them, hey, I don't feel like talking to you now, I'm an artist. Because, see, that's what artist means. You could do whatever you want to do. Right here, I got a chart. This is the rising times of the various occupations. Doctor, 6:30 in the morning, you have to get up. No thanks. Lawyer, get to sleep maybe 15 minutes more, 6:45. Engineer, 7:30, big deal. But the artists, on the average, they don't get up till 1:45 noon. Even better than the priest, 10:30, 11 o'clock. Looks like I missed the boat here, but you don't have to. You could become an artist.
But the stuff that lights up learning is about the cognitive tasks, the quality of engagement, and the quality of the inquiry you're involved in.
It's something they already love. I don't have to convince them to love it. And so if I can teach them other things through those art forms, I've already got them.
This is a really important topic. This one. Creating our future together. I mean, the future just happens, right? Or do we create it? Well, we'd like to create it. We'd like to be involved. We'd like to have some role to play in that. And if we do, we have to understand creativity. Because to create, we have to be creative.
It's the thing that sets us apart from the rest of life on Earth, I believe, is this power of imagination, which leads to the power of creativity. Creativity is, in a way, the child of imagination, and many of the challenges we face now are the results of human creativity. But we won't engage them by diminishing these powers, but only by increasing them. And I think as soon as we begin to grasp the true nature of human creativity, we'll begin to see the possibilities for a coexistence that will add up to something.
Leonardo said the five senses are the ministers of the soul. But 500 years ago in Tuscany, he said the average person looks without seeing, listens without hearing, eats without tasting, touches without feeling, breathes in without any awareness of aroma, and talks without thinking. So Leonardo said one of his mottos was knowing how to see. You train your eyesight by one great way is to do what Plato suggested, which is to look at beautiful forms. It's great to start by going to an art museum. But most people go to an art museum and they get overwhelmed because they don't have a strategy for going and how to see.
What's going on in this picture? Lots of hands today. If you need to take a closer look, you're more than welcome to. VTS stands for Visual Thinking Strategies. It's a way of thinking about art. It poses 3 questions to students who are looking at art, and those 3 questions are, what's going on in this picture? What do you see that makes you say that? And what more can you find?
With VTS, we start with the medium of art, and students have an opportunity to make observations and explain and back their observation up with some proof from the images. When students have the opportunity to think and talk and share and know that there's not one answer that a teacher's looking for, their thinking goes beyond explicit level comprehension to some higher level thinking.
Okay, so what makes you say that it might be a waterfall?
Because in waterfalls there's a bunch of water coming down, and in that picture, and there's also rocks in waterfalls.
When kids discuss a work of art and discuss an image, they are experiencing and practicing that there are more than one ways to see something. And art, because by its very nature it's open to possibilities, is such a beautiful medium or vehicle for the conversations to take place.
As kids share, other kids are listening intently to what they have to say.
So you see the feet.
This is important for students to hear their own voice, to hear the voices of others, and to give them confidence in what it is that they say.
Before VTS, you know, just every kid kind of just shared what they wanted on their own. And now that we've had some of the VTS training, they really sense that they're part of the community and that they're all inputting together.
I agree with Allison about the cat. The bobcat and the wildcat is going for the bird.
They're fishing because in the 1800s there were no clothing stores or anything.
When you make observations in science, you need to look for details and carefully observe what you're seeing and back up your hypothesis or your theories with evidence.
Students learn to be centered on their own learning. They learn to be involved in their own learning. I also think that students learn language skills. They learn listening skills from listening to one another. They also learn point of view. By listening to each other, they learn that someone else's point of view could be different than theirs, and they consider other points of view.
The culture is populated by a variety of symbol systems, or as I call them, forms of representation. Forms of representation. These are the forms we employ to transform the contents of our consciousness into some public image which is shareable. And what students learn in school, hopefully, is how to decode, how to experience the content that those images make possible. And it all starts with a consideration that is often thought of as being remote from the mind, and that is the senses. The senses are basically information pickup systems that allow us to experience the qualitative world that we inhabit. And the process of maturation is a process of learning how to read that symbol system. Those symbol systems, I should say, because they're multiple. And to the extent to which we can do that, we can see the world differently. We can see the world as a form, we can see the world as a piece of history, we can see the world as a quantifiable entity, etc., etc.
Most people think that, drawing is kind of frivolous, or at best say, well, that's not something adults do.
And, well, this is amazing. I mean, most people had their last art lesson when they were 10 or 11 years old.
Yes, and would never venture to think like
unless you had a special gift in art, they cut you off. But you imagine if we did this with other subjects? Sorry, you don't show special talent for history, so we're cutting you off at the Middle Ages. All right? Well, it turns out that drawing is a very important thinking skill. Mm-hmm. It's a perceptual skill. It helps you see the world, be sharper, be more alert, more aware.
A lot of the learning data now is showing this.
Right? And it's all same thing with music, right? That it builds the complexity, the interconnections of the growing brain.
I think of powerful learning experiences as experiences which truly change us. They change our minds, the way that we think and how we understand the world, and they change our relationship to the world.
The arts especially address the idea of aesthetic experience. An aesthetic experience is one in which your senses are operating at their peak. When you're present in the current moment, when you're resonating with the excitement of this thing that you're experiencing, when you are fully alive.
We've been in this business about 3 centuries, this family. We do about 350 a year, something like that. Well, this is the start of the process, really. How you doing, lads? Oh, he looks nice and ripe, doesn't he? Yeah, being creative people, it's important they get a lot of praise, you know, massage their egos, especially just before the harvest. Some of these have been in a little bit longer just to make them a little bit more mature, but you gotta be careful not to leave them in too long, otherwise they get a bit, you know, temperamental. There's old Hooky here. Now, he missed his harvest. So he's useless, he's no good to anyone. So we just leave him in there as a reminder. We got about 200 creatives in the top field and about 150 or so in the bottom field. This is the hydraulic juicer. We used to wind these down by hand in the old days, but these modern ones are great. They give you 10% more juice per pressing. 30 tons per square inch comes up through that ram here, squashes them flat. The juices run out down there, through that funnel there, into this tank here. There we are. Pure creative juice, that is. Smell that. No, don't bloody drink it. Must have blow your bloody head off, that would. Well, this here is a distribution centre where we get all the juices ready to send out to all the people in the southwest, all the companies that need creativity. Now over here we've got the Bristol Blue. Now that's good for online and direct marketing campaigns. Around here we've got the Plymouth Peculiar. That's used mainly for TV ads and the like, those sort of campaigns. What's the wire here? For larger consumers, we ship these out on the back of the Unimog. A lot of these exhibition pressings go to the computer games and animation industries. You know, like the Wallace and Gromit little movies they make and the PlayStations, yeah. No, that's not advised, no. I mean, I don't drink it. He does. Well, this is where we test our new blends. This is a Swindon rootstock grafted to pure Cornwall foliage. Very specialist, that. Good for coming up with ideas as mad as a badger. Mind you, you've got to be careful not to use too much of it, otherwise you could find yourself painting toenails on the fairies. And of course there's next year's crop coming through. Yeah, any rotten uns, we just mulch them and send them up to Chelsea for the flower show. There's a lot of people pontificating about future of advertising and TV and all that sort of thing, but I say you can't go wrong with a good idea. Creative industries, well, it's very strong in this region, and I will be in this business for generations to come.
So an artist looks at this cup. Now, most people look at this cup and say, it's a cup, what's the big deal? But an artist looks at this and says, well, they let go of the category cup. And they say it's reflection of light, it's shape, it's circles, it's dimensionality, it's sound. There's the sound, the potential of the sound and the coolness of the liquid inside it. There is a feeling, a texture, a quality to it. Some will even have a visceral experience when they look at it, and even a smell or maybe the sound of music that is set off by to me this is a bass note of color.
The point meaning you just learn so much more about that cup when you start looking at it that way.
Much richer experience, but the real point is if you're in trying to solve a really important technical problem, a personal problem, and you're stuck in your own categories, learn to deconstruct them, learn to see like an artist. You take apart, it's not cup anymore, it's a series of experiences. It's not, oh, here's my problem. Let's look at the elements of it. That gets you out of the box, out of the habitual way of perceiving, and that's when your intuitive intelligence can shine through.
One of the things that art does is to create an experience that puts an individual within a matrix of ideas and dilemmas and complexities, just like our own lives. And when art does that, we as individuals have to make decisions and discriminations. And this is why art matters. If someone just says, think this or think that, we have a choice. We can either agree or disagree. But with a great piece of writing, a great movie, a great even piece of music or dance, we can be transformed. And how we see the world then is transformed. If we can change the perspective and perceptions of our audience, then if we can change the way they see, then we can change the way they think.